married fairly quickly, right?
Yeah, we were married 6 weeks and 2 days after that.
Yeah.
The average wedding in the United States is $40,000. The average divorce in the United States is $40,000. So there's a lot of preparation and expense going into a wedding day. It's not a lot of preparation for marriage.
Yeah. We realized, friendship is the reason that a lot of marriages have problems. There's no friendship developed there, no friendship there to hold things together, to give that foundations.
The presence of God, have to be in the center of the presence of God, and that's where the calm is. And we face the storms like everybody else has faced, and like I know my Father loves me.
And welcome to Winning Conversations. We are glad you're here. Dan and I, how are you, Dan?
I'm fantastic. How are you this morning?
Doing great.
Yay.
We have some sweet friends with us today, Jeff and Theresa Fields. How are y'all?
Great.
Hey, we're so happy. We're so honored to be here.
Well, we're glad you're here. I think a lot of people see you at church, and they see you on the platform or in the sound, but maybe they don't know you very well. You guys are a sweet presence in our midst, in our house, and so we're just honored to have the opportunity to sit down and actually hear your story a little bit.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's a blessing to be here.
Good. And so right now y'all serve on the worship team. People see you, Theresa, on the platform, and in the sound booth, correct? On the production team.
Yes, on the production team.
What do you do there? Like for people who don't know what the production team does.
Okay,
Explain
so
that.
I serve on the sound team, so we run the sound in the house, the microphones and the instruments and everything. Make sure everything's mixed together so the sound is cohesive and that the vocals are louder than the music. And when the pastor steps up, his mic is unmuted.
Yeah.
These are all good things.
And that and you can hear him.
Yeah. I think people take that, they don't think about that when they walk in. It just sounds good. And then you only notice it like when something is wrong.
It's so true.
It's such a...
you only know when it's bad.
Yeah.
You only know when it's bad.
Which is very rare.
It's fantastic. But we have a Brad. And you have a you know what I mean? We have people that make this thing run.
Yeah.
And it's such a blessing to have. So people, every Sunday, people are so thankful that you're actually doing what you're supposed to be doing.
We have a great team. So
That's amazing.
It's a good team. And I wanted to just hear your story a little bit, like how y'all became the Fields. And I know music has been a big part of your story, but how did y'all end up meeting, coming together, becoming a family?
I'll let you start,
Okay.
Jeff.
When I was in college, I interned at an Air Force base, and there was a daily Bible study, and I attended this Bible study, and Theresa was one of the members of the Bible study, so I got to know her at the Bible study.
Right.
She was a girl that sometimes would play guitar and lead worship at the Bible study, and so eventually I graduated, and I was ministering 3 nights a week in prisons, in a halfway house, in a youth detention center, and the different places. So I asked Theresa to lead worship at the halfway house. And so every Thursday night, she would come and lead worship at the halfway house. This was around 1980, 88, 89.
That's good years.
Right.
That's awesome.
So, and then 1991 or 1990, 91, she was dating my roommate. So we never dated.
About 6 months, and it was a disaster.
But we never dated. And it was clearly a friendship.
Good friendship.
We would go out to dinner. We would go out to concerts. We would do things as a group. We went on a cruise with singles from a Baptist church. We just do different things together, but we never dated. So she was dating my roommate, and then they broke up.
Nice.
And so then I was praying about it and praying for her so I was on I-16 on August 18th, 1991, and I said, Lord, why do these guys treat her so badly and not see the value that she is? And I heard the Lord say, because I've hidden her for you. So
that's so sweet.
It's true. It really happened. So the next day I called her, like I've called her a bunch of times, say, hey, want to get together for dinner? And so we worked out on a Thursday night. So that was August 22nd. So that day I sent her a dozen roses, And so I'm like, okay, it could go really good or really badly. So I waited for the phone call, like, how dare you, or thank you. So it was thank you. So it was good. So we had a dinner at a mom and pop Italian restaurant there in Macon, Georgia. And first real date. So I think I gave her a cassette, a Phil Keaggy tape cassette.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we had dinner. So we went back to my house and I washed her feet.
What?
I washed her feet and said, I will serve you.
you.
And if I wasn't so scared, I would have asked her to marry me that night.
Oh my gosh. That's the sweetest thing in the whole world.
I'm really,
That was like
rethinking
the
my entire
red
proposal
carpet,
process.
yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, there's different
so
levels to
romantic.
this.
What did you think of all that? All of the
Wow.
gestures.
Well, the same weekend that he was getting that revelation about our relationship, God had been ministering to me. And we had like a really long talk, maybe that Thursday night before that weekend. And just, I was kind of pouring out my heart about some past hurts and things with my dad and just, the reasons that things were still not, healed with me. And God just started like replaying all these things about Jeff to me that weekend, just how faithful he is, how steady he is, how, his walk with the Lord was so solid. And, he wasn't playing around, with this thing with God. He was very sincere about God, about his ministry, about our friendship, everything he did. And of course, the Lord just showed me I could trust him, which was a big issue for me.
Yeah.
Having a dad who was an alcoholic was, very hard, a lot of rejection and things like that in my childhood and youth. And to know that I could trust a man was a big thing. Of course, had many past relationships that didn't turn out well. And like he said, people didn't see my value. They just kind of treated me like somebody to, have a relationship with for a brief time and just kind of toss aside. So when the Lord showed me all these things about Jeff, I was just, this is amazing. I know he's been a good friend and a brother in the Lord, and we minister together, and we just have such a great rapport and understand each other. But there was never anything romantic, never even any expectations toward each other about anything more than friendship. And Lord just kept it that way. It was God. It was really God.
Until the roses showed up.
Yeah, until the roses showed up. I'm just
like the feet washing. I go, all right. I was on the fence before,
up a notch,
but
up a notch.
I know. I was shocked.
Book, like Leaving the Friend Zone, how to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this would be a bestseller.
I know.
For sure.
I know.
Friendship to courtship.
Yeah, so the roses were a big indication, like, okay, something has changed. This is not the same.
That's
and
amazing.
of course, I called him and thanked him for the roses, and he asked me to go to dinner and so I'm like, this is a real date. I know this is a date now.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just what we'd always done, so we knew that God had added to our relationship. It was really supernatural because we weren't trying to do anything. Because that's something I had seen over the years. I had done it, other people had done it, just being very soulish in relationships and trying to get what you want and get your needs met, with the other person. And there was none of that, So we knew we had, like this, we had to keep this same mode of treating each other through our dating, through our courtship, and on towards marriage as God kept confirming what we were doing. We couldn't suppose anything. We just had to let God lead.
And I also want to be very protective of her heart because she had just broken up with somebody. And I want to make sure that she was protected. I want to just not manipulate her in any way and just protect her and make sure that I was following the lead in the Holy Spirit as he was directing.
Sure.
Right. It sounds like you were. It sounds like you're really intentional. Yes, you're probably pretty intentional with everything you do, huh, Jeff?
Right. Well, well, the Holy Spirit's so sweet. Yeah. So he's so good. He's always been a gentle leader and just so sweet.
That's great. And then what I understand is that didn't take long to go from there to marriage, right?
So, I think the next week I bought the ring, and then,
Good.
But so I was, I heard her, but because I thought it was really important to surprise her. And she had told me before what kind of cut she wanted. Then she called me one day and said, "When do you plan to buy my ring?" I said, "I have no plans to buy you a ring." Because I already had it.
Devastated.
So she was devastated. I didn't realize it because I thought the surprise was more important. But apparently, it's not the most. It's not the most important.
I mean, nailed the feet washing.
Yeah.
Rings.
I missed it.
We all got skill sets.
All right.
So
there's a grace there.
So 3 weeks. So 3
him.
weeks later, on September 12th, we went to a steak and ale, and on the way inside the restaurant, I gave her a rose. And then while she was up getting her salad, I put the ring inside the rose. So I also gave her a gift. I gave her a Bible. She had lost her Bible and misplaced it. So I gave her, but I had highlighted all the marriage scriptures. And
See, this is what I mean. The intentionality
What are you
is
talking about?
So intense.
And
so.
Am I even saved? That's right. My marriage.
You've
Oh,
given
my
your wife
goodness.
a Bible before.
I've done
with
none of
all
these
the
things. I've done none of these things. This is unbelievable.
That's okay.
This is a how-to class. I'm so glad
I
I'm
know.
here.
This is-
Please keep going. I'm writing notes.
Yeah.
I
Workshop
highlighted all
it.
the marriage scriptures, and then I had the note in the first one, and as she had to read out loud, and it would have a note, which the next scripture to go to, and she would go through all the scriptures.
So it took me
Did you know?
from Genesis practically through Revelation to get these marriage scriptures. It was
Did
so
you know
cool.
it was coming then? Where you're like, oh, these are all.
Yeah, it's starting to dawn on me. Yeah.
You got those subtle hints.
You're like, oh, becoming one. What does this mean?
The last, so the last note said, "Open your rose."
Oh my gosh.
And
Who are
Some
you, sir?
tissue.
so, before she was kind of waving around too while she was eating. I said, "Put the rose down." I want the rose. The ring to flame across the room with somebody's
There goes
soup.
Fly fishing your ring.
Someone's
Get it out
soup.
there.
You know.
I know, and I realized, oh gosh, I've been moving this rose around, and it had a ring in it. Oh no!
And then she opened up, and there was a ring.
Yeah.
That's very
Oh,
sweet.
it's like, what was, I'm sorry, we're going to camp out here for a second. How long, did it take you to go through like the Bible? That's amazing to me that you did that. But like from the moment you guys had that first rose date to the theoretically last rose date, what was that timeline?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fast.
Praise. Are you
know,
serious?
you know.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
And then you guys were married fairly quickly, right?
Yeah, we were married 6 weeks and 2 days after that.
Yeah.
It was planned in November, but Jeff wanted to move it up like 5 weeks.
I don't want to wait.
I hear you.
I mean, when you know, you know.
What are we doing here?
I don't
What are
know.
we doing here?
Yeah.
And we had like the Dave Ramsey wedding that for Dave Ramsey. So
Now you're preaching.
what we had scheduled, we
Economical.
had reserved a church. She went to a home church, so so we were going to rent the church for the wedding, but when we moved the wedding up, they weren't available, so we had it in my backyard. So I borrowed some chairs. I rented a tux.
I did buy my dress.
She bought her
though.
dress.
Yeah.
A lady, my best friend, his mother did catering. She gave us the wedding cake.
Oh.
We had punch and cake. And I had
And
a
a
friend.
wedding.
I had a friend who had a cabin in North Carolina. He said, "Use our cabin." I said, "All right."
Talking about.
So it was very,
Such a blessing.
Very Dave Ramsey.
very
Yeah.
Dave
Love
Ramsey.
that
It was
reference.
That's how you start your
Thrifty
marriage.
wedding.
But see, the thing is, like those details kind of, they're sweet, but they go out in the wash. You guys have been married 33 years.
Thanks.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, does it really matter how fantastical the wedding is? Like, this is a lesson for people who are out there
Yeah.
preparing. Like, you don't have to have
So
all the crazy stuff.
The average wedding in the United States is $40,000.
Yeah.
The average
Yeah.
divorce in the United States is $40,000. So there's a lot of preparation and expense going into a wedding day. There's not a lot of preparation for marriage,
Marriage, right.
Yeah.
which is, as you both know, it's
Yeah.
a long game.
It's pretty
It
important.
is
Yeah.
a long
Yeah.
game.
And what was impressive on our wedding day was that the anointing of God was so strong. It was beautiful. I mean, the pastor played on guitar, and my friend Amy sang a song that I added words to the song that the pastor played. It was something that we kind of wrote together, and she sang that as I was coming out into the backyard, but the anointing of God was just on the whole thing. It was just so sweet. Just like you said, that sweet presence was there. That was the impressive thing about the wedding day. It wasn't all the money spent or all the, fancy
Right.
things.
Sure.
That was all we needed.
Yes.
Well, and testament to the power of God and the purity of your beginnings, and then the 33 years of marriage. How what would be your tips? I know that you guys have a marriage podcast that you guys get to do, which is super fun. So I want to talk about that in just a minute. But what would you say to young marrieds or people who are looking to get married? Like, how do they best prepare for that season of their life?
Well, I know what we started out.
That's the thing.
It's like-
They just
it's like
live
the
it. They're like,
biggest
if
question. I'm
you
like,
could
how
live
do you make this?
Yeah. Like, just look at y'all. But
Yeah. So when we started out our podcast, we just told our story pretty much like we're telling it to you. And then we realized, friendship is the reason that a lot of marriages have problems. There's no friendship developed there. It started out with romance. It went into all the daily things of life and the stresses and the pressures and the schedules, and no friendship there to hold things together, to give that foundation. So, we love to share that building a friendship before you're married and when you're engaged and getting ready to be married, and of course after the marriage. That's the one thing that stays constant, of
So
course,
true.
besides your relationship with the Lord. But that friendship can just get richer and richer and deeper and deeper. And then the other things are just like icing on the cake, all the extra stuff.
all the extra stuff. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Developing a deep friendship where you just develop all phases of intimacy, intellectual intimacy, spiritual intimacy,
Emotional.
emotional.
intimacy.
Yeah. It just builds and enhances each other.
Mm-hmm.
Just doing things together and just
Right.
to
Getting
bless
to
each
know
other.
each other.
Getting to know each
Yeah.
other. Right.
Absolutely.
Well, so it's kind of funny because like the first time I met you guys was actually at the Gian Greco's house for a. That's how we
Thrive
met.
group?
Yeah,
Right.
Thrive
Yeah,
group.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how I
Right.
remember meeting you
Yeah.
guys. That's how I met most of the people at the church was through the Gian Greco's at the Thrive group and everything else. And so I remember the first time I met you guys, and you kind of touched on it a moment ago. But the most significant portion of anybody I think who's ever met you is what I walked away with. I was like, man, the presence rests on them so well. Like you have this peace, you have this grace, you wear His presence so well.
Praise God.
And that is one of those things where I have not always carried. When I see it, I'm always like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's something special.
Right.
We all have that option. We all are not striving, but we're all like trying to have that relationship and fellowship with the Lord. But I think you guys carry it so well. And is that like intentional? Is that because of your, like how you approach your marriage? So is there something about that you guys are doing? What's a better way to phrase that?
Yeah. What are you doing? How do you carry that presence so well?
I believe you do. You carry it so well. So I'm always, every time I see you guys, it's just the joy of the Lord.
Well, that's the key, right? The joy of the Lord. It's the, the presence of God. We have to be in the center of the presence of God, and that's where the calm is. And we face the storms like everybody else has faced, and we've had difficulties and things to overcome just like everybody else. But I know my Father loves me, and He is so good. He is so good, and He is so powerful, and His presence is such a calming influence, and His presence just fills our house, and His presence is where I can minister to my wife as a husband from the center of the presence of God.
Right.
And on my own, I can't do very, very much.
Sure.
But from presence of God, from my relationship with my Father, I can minister to her and meet her
Right.
needs.
Right.
That's great.
That's really beautiful. What about you? What would you say to that?
Well, for me, just having that background of worship ministry, it's not all what everybody sees outwardly that you do, like on a platform or in a worship team or at a Bible study. It's got to be that depth of inward relationship with the Lord, like that sweet communion that we've heard Pastor talk about in Psalm 25. I think it's Pastor Joseph that brings that up sometimes, that sweet communion with the Lord from Psalm 25. It's like, that was something that ministered to me so much in the Amplified, reading the Psalms in the Amplified translation years and years ago, just realizing, there you can have a really deep relationship with the Lord moment by moment and day by day. And that's what I try to do, just Lord, be involved in everything that I'm doing, everything I'm thinking about, all the intentions of my heart. And that it really affects you, the way you look at things, the way you make decisions, the way you actually carry things out. It's like, I got to be mindful of God. Everything I'm doing, His presence is with me, He's in me. He wants to be guiding every part of my life. He wants to be at the head of everything I'm doing. So, of course, how I treat Jeff, how we've raised the kids, that's all involved in just seeking the Lord, checking in with Him about everything. You know, what does the Lord say about this? What is He trying to tell me? What's He showing me in His Word? Just every day, I want to hear something from you, Lord. I want to see what you're showing me today so I can live it out. Yeah. You know, that's the most important thing. And it does give you a lot of peace, because then it's not like I'm trying to do this. I've got to find answers for that. Like, there's no need for all of that struggle and all of that striving. It's He's with me. He's going to show me. He's going to guide me. He's talking to me all the time.
That's awesome. Yeah. Now, you guys have been plugged into Heritage since 2013, correct? Mm-hmm. So you've been here a while. You've done hundreds of different jobs, but that presence that you carry and that excellence that you have, you've taken into all those areas. When you think about serving God in a local church setting, how does that either enhance your life, enhance your walk with the Lord, or what are you looking to do when you plug in with the church? Because not everybody comes into a serving volunteer role with that same heart of, oh, I just want to honor God in this. Mm-hmm. They're like, I need to pick a department, and I guess I'll greet it, like whatever it is. Like, what drives your serving at church?
You go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, okay.
I know he has a lot to say.
Right. I think for us, serving a local church is just a way of us to honoring the house and the leadership of the house, and honoring the pastors, and just doing whatever we can to lift up their hands. And it's really not about, oh, I'm in the sound booth, oh, I get to run sound. It's really not about that. Sure. It's the same thing no matter what you're doing in the church. You're stacking the chairs, unstacking the chairs, serving, open the door, greeting people with a smile. It's all the same. It's all the same thing. It's all the same serving. It's just all about the honoring and just as act of worship every week, giving our time and sacrificing the practice time and the rehearsal time as an offering to give that is, I want to serve the Lord the best I can do. I want to do the best. If I'm doing the sound, I'm going to run the best I can to my ability, because I'm serving unto the Lord. And just honoring the Lord with what we do. And as we do that, as we're serving, that's giving. The Lord will honor that and bless that.
Right. It's sowing seed, isn't it?
It's sowing seed.
Yeah, like Dr. Spell always taught. Yeah. And to me, it's the reason we love to serve is because we knew it before we moved here to Texas, before we got planted at Heritage. We could see that serving and giving our time and giving of ourselves, it reaps a harvest in your life, but we weren't doing it for the harvest. We're doing it out of that heart to serve because, we love the church. We love our pastors. That's how we were before. That's how we are here. And to get planted, we know that that's how we grow. That's how we develop our gifts. And for people who don't get planted, I feel sad for them, because they may have multiple gifts and don't ever get to grow in them, don't get to use them and exercise them and develop them. So God will pull things out of us that we don't even know are in there, because leaders have that insight, that oversight to see what's in the people that are serving with them and serving in their teams. I don't like to say just under them, but serving on their teams, and they know how to draw those things out. That's what we've seen with Pastor Danny. He just pulls things out of people. Like, I know you've got this in there. I'm going to bring it out. Right. Yeah, but just getting planted, you feel so much more anchored. You feel so much more in line with the vision of your pastors, the vision of your entire church, and, of course, the vision of the Savells and the whole JSMI ministry. I mean, that's just done so much for our lives, for our family, just getting planted here and seeing that God took things that we were dreaming about before we moved here, and started to see them manifesting in much greater ways once we got planted in this church and under this ministry. So we love to serve.
Yeah,
we don't even have to think about it. Like, well,
it's
yeah,
just what
of
you
course we'll do that.
It's what you do. It always reminds me of Psalms 1 when I think about that being planted by the river of waters, and that you'll flourish in every season. And that's what I see in your life. Tell me, Theresa, I was thinking about, as you said, you homeschooled your kids. How did you teach them that value of being planted in God's kingdom, specifically in a local church? But I mean, ministries don't always, they're not always connected. Like y'all had a music ministry that wasn't directly connected to it. You know what I mean? Or your podcast isn't. But how do you teach your children to love God's kingdom that way?
Wow, I think it's more by example than what you tell them. I'm sure you know as a parent, they will do what they see you doing.
Yeah.
And it was so neat when we would be serving at the church in Georgia. They would just be invited, like, hey, you can do this and come on and help with that. You know, it wasn't us doing it so much. It was like the pastors and other adults there, because they were children and they were learning, wow, I get to be a part of this preparation for Easter, or get to be in the Easter production. This is fun. This is what we do. You know, it was just part of our life. And of course, in homeschooling, we were used to doing everything together. So this is what we do as a family. So that was just natural to them. It really didn't have to be taught as much as just they see the example and
that was a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's powerful. I think it's pure. There's such simplicity to it, but it's powerful. Like the gospel is clear and simple and powerful.
Yes.
And I think that's what your lives demonstrate. Like you don't have to complicate it.
No.
Yeah. Just in tune to the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
What else is there?
And then, obviously buy a dozen roses. And I mean, there were some caveats there that was probably some nuggets of takeaway.
Yeah.
That are
still trying to get over that part.
Yeah.
No, I think it's so true though. Like the way I think we also often we try to make things so much more complicated.
Right.
But if you just walk out your identity and who He is,
Right.
and who He is in you, and just let that be what exudes, it's what else do you have to do? You know, I mean, it doesn't.
Exactly.
Like it pretty much solves itself, and like you saying, kids see that. They see authenticity.
They do.
That's what they are starving for today is authenticity. Authenticity.
Yeah.
That's a hard word right now.
Authenticity.
It's a tough one, but like but you know when you know that someone's like got something that you don't have. Like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Like, oh my gosh, they have something that I desire, that peace, that joy, and it only comes from that authentic relationship.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can't. What I see in y'all's life is you can't fake that authenticity.
No.
Like this is you are who you are because God is in your life. And I think that's such a beautiful testimony. I mean, we sit with people that have these incredible stories of coming out of this, that, or the other. But I love the stories and the people's lives who are like, every day, we're just going to live it. We're just touching base with God. We're always listening to what He has to say, whatever that. I mean, I think it's super cool that at this stage in your marriage, 33 years later, you guys start a podcast. I mean, the creativity is amazing.
I know why.
Yeah, because it just exudes out of you. What fruit have you guys seen from that? I'm curious.
Well, I think it's been so neat that our relationship has grown as we spend time together every week working on our studying for the marriage podcast, Inspiring Marriages podcast, that we just got to really talk in depth to each other about things that we haven't really talked about before. On purpose, just talking about
things we knew, but we didn't know we knew. It's like once we start talking about, like, oh yeah, we have been doing this. We did understand this. We just never really put it into words. But as we start teaching, it's like you realize how much you've learned by teaching, and then as you teach something, you learn even more. Sure. It's amazing. It's been enriching, for our marriage.
That's good. That's good. I mean, and that should be the first fruit, right? Yes. Is how it's impacting y'all. Mm-hmm. So,
but we have had people come and say they've been watching and they've been encouraged, and it's blessing them. Like, yes, keep watching because there's so much more good stuff coming.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I had a nephew who was getting married last year, and my sister called me up and she knew about our podcast. I think I told her about it before that. And she said, I want my son to watch your podcast and get ready for marriage, so what should he watch? And she was going to have his fiance do the same thing. So they were watching our first episodes, talking about our friendship and our courtship and into marriage and everything. So she says, I want to make sure it covers all these areas. I said, yeah, it does. But it was so cool to see that we could invest in their relationship by them listening or watching our podcast and then preparing for marriage with that. And then Jeff got to officiate their wedding. So it was like,
Nice.
how beautiful, how God's using this already.
That's awesome.
So good.
That's awesome. Y'all are a true example of this, of what it means to be winners, in life. And that's what Heritage is about, is making winners in life. So we're honored that y'all are part, and God saw it fit to plant y'all here, moving to Texas to be here.
Yes.
But I do want to ask, what does it mean to win in life? And what does it mean specifically to win every day? Can you guys answer that question for us?
Wow. It's a big one. I mean, to know that you have a vision for your life, for your marriage, for your family, even for ministry, for people who actually step out in ministry, that's huge to me, to have that. That's winning in life, to know God's given me a purpose. He's giving me a plan. He's laying it out to me, to us, to show us what he wants us to do. Because like you said, this podcast was kind of a surprise. That was not something we expected for, a long time. But and then to see that God is taking us step by step towards that vision and walking it out, just knowing what he has for us to do each day, each week, each month, just seeing that he's got this all planned out. He's got it all prepared. If we'll just take steps as he's showing us and walk it out, that's victory for me every day. That's winning.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. And for me, I think is teaching our children to hear from God for themselves, to know that they have a purpose and they can walk out their calling of their life and utilize their talents, and for them to fulfill what God has called them to do, and just be able to teach them how to do that, and see them walking where God has called them to go, and just see them flourishing in what they do is a blessing. Yes. And like every day, God is enriching our marriage and enriching our friendship, because every marriage has a purpose, and every marriage has 100% chance of being fulfilling and successful and enlightening, and it's just our purpose of our marriage is show the love of God, and that we know that every marriage, the couple is a symbol of Christ and the church, and so it's winning to me is walking that out every day.
That's great.
Those are beautiful answers.
Those are great.
Yeah. It's inspiring to me.
I know.
Yeah.
So just real quick, because I want to, what is the name of the podcast, and where can people listen to your podcast?
It's called Inspiring Marriages.
Okay.
And it's on all the platforms.
All the platforms.
And it's on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. It's audio and video, so it's everywhere.
You put it everywhere. Which I'm sure was with great intention. Because that's the only way I think y'all function. Yes. Is intentionality.
There's purpose.
Yeah.
There was a plan. The entire Bible was highlighted accordingly. And walked through it. It was amazing.
So beautiful.
I know. I'm like, I'm gonna have to let my wife listen to this, but also not listen to it. I'm gonna have to beat her to the punch.
I wonder if there's just some men, because this was years ago too, but when Ryan proposed to me, he did like a scavenger hunt through the house I was at. Was 3-story?
That's so clever.
Wow. So he was very intentional. Also, all the little clues rhymed and all this stuff, and then he had a box. It wasn't a rose, but it looked like a rose. It was like a stem, and then the rose part opened.
I'm telling you.
And so I don't know. It's super sweet when somebody goes out of their way to do something super intentional like that. So it reminded me of that and how sweet it had been.
So sweet. Yeah, great.
So anyway. I won't look at it.
I step it up. So,
we'll text show now. Like, hey.
Let her know.
It's coming.
There's a new me coming her way. This was amazing. I think this was so much fun. We're so happy that you are in this house. We're so happy that we get to call you friends, and that you just do what you do. Like I say, I love the way you guys carry his presence, and it's such a fun thing to see. So I just want to say thank you for being here. This was so fun.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
And we want to say thank to you all for being here and listening to another amazing episode of Winning Conversations. We hope that you like, follow, share, subscribe, all the good things. We're on all the platforms as well. So the more the merrier.
With intentionality.
With intentionality. And we'll throw their podcast in the show notes.
Absolutely.
So that way you guys can link directly to their podcast and catch out what they're doing. Clearly, there's a lot of nuggets. There's so much wisdom there. So this would be a great time to invest in that if you have a marriage or want to get married, clearly. Beyond that, please stay tuned for next Friday as we drop another episode of Winning Conversations, and we'll talk to you then.